Yes, I'm an adventurer, and from some of the looks on your faces, I can see some of you are thinking I'm a bit shorter than you expected, and I can see some of you are thinking I'm a bit fatter than expected. But I was 6 months pregnant, so please don't judge me too harshly, okay? But the point about those photos is that I'm nothing special. But there is something quite magical and powerful about this one question that managed to get me through all my expeditions. And it's something that hopefully you will be able to take away with you today and apply it in your personal life, your professional life, even in your hobbies. So, quick show of hands. Have you ever run a marathon, or have you ever thought about running a marathon? Okay, there's a few of you, so hopefully you'll all be able to relate. Thank you again, Terry. Always putting your hand up, thank you. Let's step back to 2006. I got given the opportunity to run in the Washington Marine Corps Marathon. And I was so excited because I'd never run one, and I always thought I'd like to run a marathon. And suddenly I was given the opportunity, and I was over the moon until I found out it was going to cost me $5,000. $5,000 for the entry fee. And at the time I was broke, so I was going to just give it up and just say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I don't have the money. But I was speaking to a friend of mine, James, and he said to me, Eeyore. And I thought, Eeyore, the donkey from Winnie the Pooh? What are you talking about? He said, Eeyore, is this an excuse or a reason? Are you using money as an excuse not to run the marathon? And I thought to myself, well, it's not an excuse, I don't have the money. And James pointed out that every year, 1.1 million people run a marathon. So every weekend, somewhere around the world, thousands of people are running a marathon. And every single one of those thousands of people has managed to raise the entry fee. So the question is, if they can do it, why can't I? Are they better than me? Or am I just as good as them? So it was a very hard discussion with James about excuse or reason. And I realized I probably just needed to apply my mind a bit more. And I suddenly came up with this great plan. So I emailed all my friends. And I said, every time we go out, you offer to buy me a drink. And I always decline because I don't drink. Well, right now I'm really thirsty. So all those $5, $10 that you've never spent on me, I want you to put towards my entry fee. And within 48 hours, I'd managed to raise $5,000. And I realized James was right. I was just using the money as an excuse because it was too difficult. It was too complicated. It was too hard. At the time, I thought it was too hard, too complicated, too difficult to raise the money. But actually, the question was, did those difficulties outweigh my desire, my goal, my ambition of running in a marathon? Now, as soon as I'd raised the money, I found out that the marathon was being run 2 days after the end of Ramadan. And for those of you that don't know, during the holy month of Ramadan, you can't eat or drink during the day. So I suddenly went, well, I won't be able to run this marathon. I won't be able to train. I won't be able to get ready. I won't be able to prepare. And if you run a marathon without being prepared, you could injure yourself. So I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to do it. So James said to me, is this an excuse or reason? And I thought to myself, well, no, Ramadan is a real thing. I won't be able to eat or drink during the day. And he said, well, you'll be able to eat and drink at night, so you'll be able to train at night. And I thought, no, I don't want to. It's going to be too awkward, too time-consuming, too difficult to do that. And so the question that James posed to me, well, does that outweigh your desire Does that outweigh your dream of your ambition of running in a marathon? And again, I thought, you know what, James is right. It's actually just me using Ramadan as an excuse because I don't want to get up in the middle of the night. Now, what I didn't mention was how I managed to get so much money so quickly. And what I'd done was, I'd incentivized all my friends. And I'd incentivize them by saying, whoever donated the largest amount of money could dictate to me what fancy dress I would wear. Now, if you have friends who are as evil and horrible as my friends are, you'll know that the suggestions came flowing in, and they were frankly, possibly illegal. And so it got to the point where I was beginning to panic, where I thought I would actually either have to go back on my word or spend some time in jail. But as we got to $5,000, we passed the threshold, and the suggestion was to run it in a banana suit and a blonde wig. It was a great day. As you can see, the weather was wonderful. We ran through Washington, D.C., past all the monuments, and the crowds were lining the whole way. And I was, in fact, on course for doing a 4-hour marathon in a banana suit. Everything was going great up until the point, about halfway along, when suddenly my knee started to hurt. And it got worse and worse, and I had to slow down. I had to slow to a jog, and then eventually I had to slow down to a walk. And it was getting more and more painful, and I thought, well, I'm in a race. I'm in a race and I can't run. And it's embarrassing, all these people passing me by. And I just thought, I need to stop. I need to quit. I need to give up because it's just too painful, it's too difficult, and it's just too embarrassing. And then, of course, I heard James, who wasn't even there, whispering in my ear, Eeyore, is this an excuse or a reason? And I was, yeah, okay, James, I suppose I'm making a bit of an excuse because I don't have to win the race. I'm wearing a banana suit. I'm not going to win the race. All I have to do is finish. So as long as I keep going, there's no reason to stop. There's no reason to give up. Unfortunately, the pain got worse and worse and worse. And about a mile from the finish line, I woke up with a face full of dirt because I'd blacked out from the pain. And I was almost in tears because when I woke up, I realized I was within sight of my finish line. And I'd gone through so many and overcome so many challenges just to get here. I'd raised the money, I'd trained through Ramadan, I'd found a banana suit and a blonde wig, and I'd walked half the marathon with knee pain. And within sight, I was going to have to give up. And I was almost in tears, just at the thought of having to quit. And then I heard James, in my head, saying, is this an excuse or a reason? And I thought, James, my knee is in so much pain. Every time I put pressure on my knee, I faint. And I heard James say, so you've got one good knee. But what I realized was when want to do something becomes I need to do something. When I'd like to do something becomes I have to do something. When I should do something becomes I must do something. You will find a way. And I did not come this far just to come this far. And so I got up and I hopped. And I hopped the last mile of the Marine Corps Marathon. And as I approached the finish line, 6 hours after I started, most of the people had already finished. They were already with their friends and family. And they were congratulating all the late stragglers as they came past the finishing line. And they saw a banana in a blonde wig, hopping. And they must have thought that I'd hopped the whole marathon, because suddenly I had thousands of people cheering and clapping and chanting, "Banana, banana, banana," as I came across the finish line. So as we end, I just want to leave you with one thought. Next time you come across an obstacle or a challenge and you want to give up, you want to quit, you want to stop, because it's too hard, because it's too difficult, because it's too painful, I want you to ask yourself, Eeyore, is it an excuse or a reason? Thank you.